last December.
So we used in class.
Yeah, open class, yeah. So that's the first time I was in class, and it definitely showed the difference in energy. People kept advertising the verb when I was in class. But I'll let Abby talk about this also. I have last thing to say. I was just going to say, like, I was really surprised at what jumped at me in the papers, because the heart chakra was kind of the last one I expected. But I wasn't going to explain what it means, so maybe Sahaj can help me out and explain what it is and what it is. Because what I did is I meditated on it and I read whatever I could read. And I couldn't watch any of the videos because YouTube was lots of work and doesn't work at home. So I had a completely fresh mind. And the bunch of things that resonated with me. I don't know if they're right, if they're wrong, but it is just like, I think I did a little more than I could chew at the time, but it's kind of joining. I know I was in the very, very beginning, but I got a bunch of messages from it, so I can talk about those later. But I have to explain what the whole thing means.
Yeah, actually, you're familiar with the vibrations. I didn't really feel like with anyone in particular, but I did take the vibrations months ago when we were supposed to start the group game, and somehow I think it got, like, we didn't end up doing it. So I just kept whatever I felt from the previous time, and it was the heart chakra. Yeah, so
but I just know what jumped at me, but I don't know it all.
Okay.
We said they are a team, but they had no sense of each other.
Now we see the team forming. Yeah, so the heart chakra, it's located on your pinkies. If you ever feel it, if you feel like warm or tingling sensations, then you may have a problem with, a blockage with your heart chakra. So there's the left, the center, and the right. So the center is it gives you security. It's compassion and love, and then the left is where the spirit resides. So the spirit is like the reflection of God, of what's pure in you. So you're like a reflection of it. And then the right is the responsibility, and also the right also represents like a male figure in your family, let's say your dad or your grandpa, and your left represents your mother. And so sometimes if you feel these chakras, they may not necessarily be your blockages, but you may be feeling your family, because you're all connected. So you can feel that your mother is going through a hard time, or your dad, and you can sort of just ask them what's going on, and it creates a connection with them. So I found some interesting things. I have a lot about like the physical, about the center heart. So in the center heart is where the sternum bone is, and the sternum bone creates antibodies. And as you know, antibodies help fight off physically any problem that you may have inside, but also they respond also if you're under stress, mentally or emotionally, or in any way like this. So until you're 12, what happens is that the sternum bone, it sends a message to the antibodies, and it's very interesting process, because there's no nerves involved or any blood vessels or anything. It sends a vibrating sound, and it signals to the antibodies to be alert and in emergency alert kind of thing. So what happens is that if you're insecure, so you don't have that security, you don't have that center heart, that then the sternum bone is constantly sending out messages to the antibodies to be, be under like in a state of emergency. And so if you're always insecure and always like that, you're just stressing out the antibodies until they really can't fight, and then you start getting physical problems. So there's physical manifestations of whatever mental, emotional, or these stresses. So like we know that stress, the stress can have a huge physical aspect to it. And so an example of like a disease that has to do with the heart chakra is breast cancer. And let's say if a woman feels insecure or something in the family, it can really affect long term, and you can get breast cancer from that. Another disease is asthma. It has to do with the right heart, sorry, and that mostly has to do with your connection with your father. So if the relationship with your father is under stress, you don't have a good relationship, you can develop asthma. And so, yes, the left side is where the spirit resides, and as my mom already talked about it, that in the beginning that you feel like one with everyone, and you feel you have to feel that you're the spirit, you're a pure reflection of God, of the ultimate source, basically. You can call it whatever you like, but you're not. You have to remember that you're not these bodies, these emotions, these thoughts, or any worldly things. You're the spirit. You're pure. You're a reflection of God. You're part of God. You're part of everything that's pure. And so you can also catch a lot in the left part if you don't associate yourself with the spirit. You think, oh, you identify yourself with whatever worldly possessions you have, with your position in society, and you have, and by blocking this desire to be the spirit, it stops you seeking your evolution, which that's the ultimate goal. We have gone through so many stages as humans, and now all we have to do, our last thing that we have to do is evolve internally, not externally. So go back to our origin, our spirit. Yeah. So exactly. So the basic qualities would be love, compassion, pure love. So you don't have any expectations from someone. You don't love them for a purpose, or you recognize the spirit in them. You don't see anything else. So also the catches that you can get are if you don't seek, if you don't pay attention to the spirit, if you're insecure. Also, if you're inconsiderate to others, so because the center heart is also love and compassion, but if you don't have that, then you also catch at the center heart. Also, with the right heart, responsibility and paying attention to the duties that you have in life, and also what I read in a talk is that electromagnetism, that with this you have to stop avoiding the problems in your life, or make up excuses for any small little thing, and you have to, if you make a promise, you don't break that promise. You really keep to your word, and you never avoid anything in your life. And so that's very
So when I read all the catches, they pretty much all resonated. So once I read them all, I knew why I got the chakra thing. I think for me, like the ones that kind of jumped at me first was insecurity. It's like, and I've been talking to a friend who's not a Sahaj, but he thinks like one. And he says so many times we search for things in the external world, like search for better job, better partner, better life place. We're thinking that once we find that, that'll make us secure, that'll make us content, and that'll make us happy. But what we forget is that security and it's all inside. It's like the place where we have to search is inside. It's the spirit. So when I was starting to read that, and I was going through a little bit of a crisis, searching for something that I didn't quite know what it was, but I'm starting to realize that I have to look more inside as opposed to try to change the world around me. Like the world will do what the world does. It's me that I have to kind of search, and then realize what it is. The second part that really jumped at me was the spirit and the spiritual, and like as Milton people know, like I don't come from a spiritual background. It's extremely hard for me. Like that God didn't exist for me when I was growing up, so it's very hard for me to realize the spirituality, to kind of start the journey, and just people talk about this pure love, and I think, what is that? Like I've never felt that. And I've read some of the Srimadaji books as well, and she said when most non-Sahaja people talk love, they think the one that emanates from the brain. And the brain, it doesn't love, it just wants. And I read it and I was like, that's it, right? That's what we normally think is love, but it isn't. It's your brain making up fantasies, making up whatever it's making up, and running this stuff in your head all the time. But it's like I knew that for myself. I kind of had to circle that, do more meditation. I know I won't just change it overnight, but eventually this pure love will come as I grow as a person, as I learn to recognize what my spirit is, where it is, and how to listen to it. So that was my second thing that jumped at me. And another was more the right heart, and I think it also relates to work. And when you work too much and you express yourself through your work, I said, yes, in there. So, but I've moved away from that over the last year once I started the yoga. So that was another thing that resonated. So like I know it was the right choice for me. I just didn't realize all the things were there. But that was my journey, and I know I just started that. It's a long way to go.
Ever feel at least a glimpse of pure love when you are on that?
Yeah. And I know, I know, I'm bad with names for people who get this. But I know there are a couple of people in my class, like in our class. Yeah. And then some of it's like Anjali for sure. And it's like you look at some people and you know they're there. And like I just know, like I'm just not there yet, but that's just my journey for a little bit later in life, and I'll get there at some point.
Because I see your eyes like shining open from inside. You didn't say much, but you were always out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to overcome the natural response because I think I'm an introvert, so for me it's very hard to open up to other people. So sometimes I just exist in my own little world, and it's very hard sometimes to step outside. But it's easier here.
And I became religion to personal because everybody has religion.
My mom wants to know.
He says that you confess.
For you to say. Maybe you should do a guru meeting too.
I do all the chakra.
Oh, yeah. But in my last part, when I said about the, I'm a responsible person with superficial things, with the little things, and I don't know how to say it, but sometimes I lack that responsibility of the bigger things in my life. I really like to avoid things as much as I possibly can. And I don't know, I break a lot of promises too, and try to just avoid anything I can, and so I think that that's how I relate to it, because I need to work on just, facing the truth and the facts and just going with it, because there's nothing else but that, so, yeah.
Bravo.